Hey Raffalitos. So today we're going to try to do some business, and I'm going to show you what it's like to conduct business in Guyana and continue the discussion on taxes. So like I said, there's a reason why most of the vehicles on the streets in Guyana are old, and it actually has to do with the tax structure. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to visit the Guyana Revenue Authority and explain to you how taxes have caused the vehicles on the road to be mostly old Japanese cars. So why is it that these vehicles are all 10, 15, 20 years old? And why is it they are mostly Japanese made cars? And then I'm going to visit a local car dealership, one of the dealers for Japanese cars, Toyota I believe, and we're going to price the SUVs and determine how much it would cost to buy say a Toyota 4Runner or Toyota RAV4 Land Cruiser in Guyana. And what you will find out is that it's at least 3 times more expensive than it would cost in the USA or Canada. And the reason for that is, again, taxes. So the way that taxes are calculated on cars in Guyana is as follows. They take into consideration the size of the engine in cc's, that's cubic centimeters. And so if you have a 1400cc engine or engine less than 1500 cc's, it will attract duty of about 68%. It will attract importation duty, that is import duty, custom duty. It will also attract excise tax, and it will attract value-added tax. So let me take each one of these in turn and explain them. Somebody's playing loud music at the corner of Regent and Camp Street. So, pause. Alright, so let's calculate the duty, excise tax, and value-added tax. So the duty, or custom duty, is imposed by the Guyana government on all merchandise that is imported into the country. And the percentage duty varies. Each government determines how much it is. Usually, the duty is charged to protect the local industries. So if there are items that are manufactured locally, customs duty is imposed on imported items to protect the local market. But in Guyana, nobody manufactures cars anymore. There was a time when we manufactured a certain van called the Tapir with imported parts. But nobody manufactures cars or vehicles in Guyana anymore. So really there should be no duty because there is no local manufacturing industry to protect. However, we do still have to pay duty on vehicles. And excise tax. The excise tax is supposed to be used for, in the case of vehicles, the excise tax is supposed to be used to maintain the roads. It's a tax on utilities. So up front, they're charging you a tax to maintain the roads that the vehicle will use. However, if you look around Guyana, there has not been any major road improvement in the last 30 or 40 years. So although the number of vehicles on the road have increased significantly, meaning that a lot of excise taxes have been collected, those taxes have not evidently been used to expand or improve the road network. The only major road work that was done in the last 30 years is the expansion of the East Bank Road. Right? So the excise tax is meant to be...
Can I talk?
Sure. Hi. Say, welcome to Guyana.
Welcome to Guyana.
So let me tell you something about you. Yeah, these are... No, it's okay, it's okay. So these are my viewers from New York and London and Toronto, mostly Guyanese. So from time to time I like to introduce you to people on the street, local people in Guyana. Tell us your name.
My name is Charmaine.
Charmaine, and where are you from?
South.
Alright, so this is Charmaine from South in Georgetown, and this is typically what we have in Guyana, local Guyanese, and she wants to welcome you to Guyana, just like we do.
Nice, beautiful lady.
So, finally there is the value-added tax. So the value-added tax is a tax imposed by the government to collect revenue. Right, so they're basically using the value-added tax to augment government expenditure. So whenever what they've been doing is running deficits. Whenever they're running deficits, they use a value-added tax to close these gaps in deficit. And so vehicles in Guyana are charged custom duty, that's when you import a vehicle, excise tax, and a value-added tax. And the way it's done is that this tax is compounded. So they charge you the custom duty on the CIF, that is the cost, insurance, and freight. CIF, cost, insurance, and freight on a vehicle. So when you add the cost you pay for a vehicle, say in Japan or wherever you're buying it from, to the insurance and the freight, you have to use the tax table that is in this case 65% for say a Toyota Corolla, or 68%. Add 68% of that, and that gives you what you pay in duty. Now when you add the duty and the CIF, cost, freight, and insurance, you multiply that by the excise tax, and that gives you how much you pay in excise tax. And when you add all this together, the excise tax, custom duty, and the CIF, cost, freight, and insurance, now you multiply that by the value-added tax, in this case 14%. That's what you pay in value-added tax. And you add all three of those together, the value-added tax, the excise tax, custom duty, and the CIF, cost, freight, and insurance, that's how you get the total price of a vehicle in Guyana. And that does not include the cost of registration and insurance and so on. That's just the cost of purchasing the vehicle. And when you do that, what you discover is that for large vehicles that have over 2,500 cc's, that is, if you have a SUV which is 3,700, typically 3,700 cubic centimeters engines or 4.4 liter V8, these vehicles attract customs duty, excise tax, and value-added tax that triples the cost of the vehicle. And I'll give you the tax table, I'll give you the website so that you can see how the calculation is done. But you will pay, for example, for a Mercedes-Benz it costs $120,000. By the time you pick it up in Guyana, you will pay $500,000 US. That is not a joke. A vehicle that costs $120,000 in the US will cost you $500,000 in Guyana. Similarly, an SUV you pay $60,000, say for a Lexus GX in the US, $65,000, 3 times that. That means 6 3s, 18, you'll pay $180,000 for it in Guyana. So that is how you calculate the tax and the duty. Details to come. Stay tuned.